The massive chamber aboard the Stellar Dominion flagship glowed with an eerie purple light. Captain James Miller stood alone on a circular platform, his blue Earth Diplomatic Corps uniform stark against the dark metal floor. He kept his back straight and his face calm, though sweat trickled down his spine. Before him loomed the 20-foot holographic image of Empress Vex, ruler of the largest empire the galaxy had ever known. "Human," the Empress said, her voice deep and cold. Her scaled face showed what Miller had learned to recognize as disgust. "Your time of independence ends." Miller had prepared for this meeting for months, but the sight of the Empress still made his heart race. Her body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted from deep blue to purple. The crown of bony plates on her head rose in agitation. Her 4 yellow eyes blinked sideways in turn, never all closing at once. "Empress Vex," Miller replied with a small bow. "Earth wishes to continue our peaceful trade agreements. We have honored all treaties." A rumbling sound came from the Empress, something between a laugh and a growl. "Peace is for equals. Your species is not our equal." The hologram shifted, showing a map of human space. Earth glowed blue at the center, with its 17 colony. Worlds spread across 20 light-years. Red dots appeared, marking human defensive stations and ship positions. "The Dominion has watched you for 50 years, Vex continued. "Our spies have counted every ship, every weapon, every soldier. Your fleet has exactly 200 vessels. Impressive for such a young species, but nothing compared to Dominion might." The map zoomed out, revealing the vast stretch of Dominion, territory surrounding human space on 3 sides. Then thousands of red markers appeared, representing the Dominion fleet. Miller's mouth went dry at the display. Not because it was frightening, but because it confirmed what Earth Command had suspected. The Dominion's intelligence was exactly as limited as they had hoped. "Your species has 1 standard rotation to surrender your worlds," the Empress declared. "Our armada of 5,000 ships stands ready. This is mercy. Accept our rule, and your people may continue their existence as productive subjects." "And if we refuse?" Miller asked, already knowing the answer. Vex's upper lip curled, revealing teeth like polished black daggers. "Then we will take your worlds anyway, and your people will serve as an example of the cost of defiance." A tall figure stepped into view beside the Empress, her military commander, Krell. His scales were darker, almost black, and his eyes were cold. "Our first attack fleet is already positioned," Krell stated. "Your outer colonies would fall within hours. Earth itself within days." Miller took a deep breath. This was the moment Earth Command had planned for. "Empress, surely there's no need for such threats. Humanity has never challenged Dominion authority in the galaxy." "Your very existence is a challenge," Vex hissed. "Your kind spreads too quickly, thinks too differently. Other species begin to question our rule after observing your independence. It cannot continue." "I request time to bring your demands to Earth's government," Miller said, following the script he had memorized. "1 rotation," the Empress repeated. "Not a moment more. The decision is simple: surrender or destruction." The hologram vanished, leaving Miller standing alone in the chamber. A door slid open and 2 Dominion guards entered to escort him back to his ship. As he walked through the massive Dominion flagship, Miller observed everything he could. The guards were large, nearly 8 feet tall, with the same scaled skin as their Empress. They carried energy weapons that could vaporize a human in seconds. Other crew members moved with purpose through the corridors, none giving the human diplomat more than a passing glance. They thought humans were no threat. That was exactly what Earth needed them to think. Miller's small diplomatic vessel waited in the docking bay. Once aboard, he nodded to his pilot, Tom Reed, who immediately began launch procedures. "How did it go?" Reed asked quietly as the ship detached from the Dominion vessel. "Exactly as expected," Miller replied. "They're overconfident. They believe their intelligence is perfect." The small ship moved away from the massive Dominion flagship. At over 3 miles long, it dwarfed anything in the human fleet, the official human fleet at least. Once they were clear of immediate Dominion sensors, Miller went to the secure communications room. He pressed his palm against a scanner, then, leaned close for a retinal scan. The system hummed, then opened a quantum-encrypted channel that not even the Dominion could detect or decode. Admiral Helen Davis appeared on the screen. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her weathered face showed the strain of recent weeks. As head of Earth's Defense Force, she had been preparing for this moment for decades. "It's time," Miller said simply. Davis nodded, her expression grim but determined. "Operation Shadow Fleet is go. Get back to Earth space immediately. We'll need you for the next phase." "Were they convinced?" she asked. Miller allowed himself a small smile. "Completely. They think we have 200 ships exactly as we've let them believe. They have no idea what's waiting." "Good," Davis replied. "Safe journey, Captain." The communication ended, and Miller leaned back in his chair. Humanity had spent 30 years building their real fleet in secret. While showing the galaxy a small force of 200 ships, they had constructed thousands more in hidden facilities deep within the atmospheres of gas giants. Places the Dominion sensors couldn't penetrate. Ships with technology the Dominion couldn't imagine. For 3 decades, Earth had maintained the appearance of a minor power while preparing for this inevitable day. The Dominion had conquered 17 other species. Humanity would not be the 18th. Reed's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, we have Dominion ships following at a distance. Standard procedure?" "Yes," Miller confirmed. "Let them follow. When we reach the jump point, execute emergency pattern Delta." "Understood, sir." Emergency pattern Delta would make it appear that their ship was rushing home in panic, exactly what the Dominion would expect from a species that had just received an ultimatum. Miller stared out at the stars. In less than 24 hours, the Dominion would learn that humanity was not what they seemed. The thought of Empress Vex's face when she realized the truth brought him a moment of satisfaction, but that feeling quickly faded. What was coming would change the galaxy forever. Thousands might die, or millions, unless humanity's plan worked perfectly. As his ship accelerated toward Earth space, Miller closed his eyes and hoped that 30 years of deception would be enough to prevent a war that neither side could truly win. But if war came anyway, humanity was ready. Empress Vex paced across the polished black floor of her war chamber. Her clawed feet clicked with each step, echoing in the vast room. Around a large holographic table stood her top military commanders, their scaled bodies tense as they waited for her next words. "Show me the human defenses again," she ordered. Commander Krell touched a control, and the 3-dimensional map of human space appeared above the table. Earth glowed at the center, surrounded by its colonies. Small blue dots marked the positions of the human fleet. Exactly 200 ships spread thin across their territory. "Their deadline expires in 1 hour, Empress," Krell said. "They have made no attempt to contact us, no surrender." Vex's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among her kind. As expected, humans are proud for such a young species. She turned to her intelligence officer. "Your reports are certain? They have no hidden forces?" Intelligence officer Mox bowed low. "Absolutely certain, Your Eminence. We have monitored human space for 50 years. Their military budget, their shipyards, their resource allocation, all of it confirms a fleet of exactly 200 vessels. They cannot hide such things from Dominion intelligence." Vex nodded, satisfied. The Dominion had conquered 17 other species over 10,000 years. None had stood against them for long. Humans would be no different despite their reputation for cleverness. "Begin the attack sequence," she commanded. "Target their outer colonies first. Show them the price of defiance." Commander Krell moved to obey but stopped suddenly, his eyes fixed on the display. "Your Eminence," he said, his voice uncertain. "We detect unusual energy signatures from the gas giants in 3 human systems." "Explain," Vex demanded. "Jupiter, in their home system, Titan near their Alpha Centauri colony, and the gas giant orbiting Epsilon Eridani," Krell reported. "Deep scans show disturbances in the upper atmospheres." Vex dismissed this with a flick of her taloned hand. "They're pathetic attempts at deception. Weather control, perhaps, to try to confuse our sensors. Begin the attack. Wait, Officer Mox cried out suddenly, his eyes wide as he studied his data screen. Massive power spikes detected in all gas giants across human territory. The holographic display flickered. Then, impossibly, new contacts began to appear. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of new ships emerging from within the gas giants of every human system. The room fell silent as the Dominion commanders stared in disbelief. The new vessels were unlike any known human design, sleek, dark, and radiating power signatures that rivaled Dominion dreadnoughts. Impossible, Krell exclaimed, breaking the silence. Where did they hide such a fleet? Vex stared at the display, her 4 yellow eyes blinking rapidly. Count them, she ordered, her voice low and dangerous. Officer Mox worked frantically at his console. 3,147 vessels, Empress, still more emerging. Impossible, Vex roared, slamming her fist on the table. No species could hide such a force from us. Your intelligence has failed, Mox, the intelligence officer trembled. Empress, we monitored their shipyards, their resource allocation, You monitored what they wanted you to see. Vex snarled. She turned to Krell. Analysis of these ships now. Krell studied the incoming data. Unknown design. Power readings exceed our battle cruisers. Hull composition. We cannot identify the material. They appear to be using some form of gravity manipulation for propulsion. As they watched, the human ships formed precise formations throughout their territory. Not the chaotic scramble of a force hastily assembled, but the disciplined movement of a fleet that had trained for this moment. How long? Vex asked quietly. How long have they been building this force? Based on the number of vessels. Decades, Empress, Krell replied. Perhaps 30 years. 30 years of deception, Vex whispered. Then her face contorted with rage. Open a channel to their command. The holographic display shifted, and Admiral Helen Davis appeared. The human woman sat calmly in what appeared to be a command center, her gray hair pulled back, her uniform crisp. Empress Vex, Davis said with a small nod. I see you've noticed our defense force. What treachery is this? Vex demanded, rage evident in her bared teeth and flared neck crest. You concealed your true military strength. Not treachery, Davis replied calmly. Prudence. The Dominion has a history of conquering species that cannot defend themselves. We simply ensured we could. Your diplomatic vessel has just returned to Earth, Commander Krell reported quietly to Vex. Captain Miller is aboard their command station. As if hearing this, the view widened to show Captain Miller standing beside Admiral Davis. He had changed from his diplomatic uniform to a military one. Empress, Miller said, for 30 years your intelligence services saw exactly what we wanted them to see. A small fleet, limited technology, while we built our real forces in places your sensors couldn't penetrate. The gas giants, Vex growled. The storms and radiation, Miller nodded. Perfect cover for our shipyards. Your sensors couldn't see through the atmospheric interference. We built our fleet in plain sight, yet completely hidden. Vex's claws dug into the edge of the table. You will regret this deception, humans. The Dominion fleet still outnumbers yours. We have 5,000 ships to your 3,000. Quality matters as much as quantity, Empress, Admiral Davis replied. And there's something else you should know. The display changed to show a close-up of one of the human vessels. It was dark, almost black, with sleek lines and no visible weapons. Our ships don't use the same technology as yours, Davis explained. We took a different path. While you focused on plasma weapons and particle shields, we developed gravity, manipulation, and dimensional phasing. Dimensional phasing? Krell whispered, his scientific curiosity briefly overcoming his alarm. That's theoretical. Not for us, Miller said, not anymore. Vex slammed her hand on a control, cutting the transmission. She turned to her commanders, rage radiating from her scaled body. Prepare the fleet, she ordered. All of it. We will crush these deceptive humans and make an example of them that the galaxy will never forget. Empress, Krell said cautiously. Perhaps we should reconsider. If their technology is truly as advanced as they claim, are you afraid, Commander? Vex hissed. Krell straightened. No, Empress, but I recommend caution. We should test their capabilities, first with a smaller force. Vex considered this, her rage gradually cooling into calculated malice. Yes, a test. She pointed to the display, where the human ships continued to take formation. Send the first attack fleet to their outermost colony. Let us see if these mysterious ships can actually fight. As her commanders rushed to obey, Vex stared at the frozen image of Miller and Davis on the screen. For 30 years, the humans had deceived the mighty Dominion. For 30 years, they had prepared in secret. You have played a dangerous game, humans, she whispered to the silent image. Now we shall see who truly rules the stars. Admiral Helen Davis stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, the flagship of Earth's hidden fleet. The ship hummed with power as it held position near Earth's moon. Through the large view screen, she could see hundreds of the sleek, dark vessels that humanity had built in secret over 3 decades. Captain James Miller stood beside her, still adjusting to being back in a military uniform after years of diplomatic work. Around them, the bridge crew worked at their stations, with practiced efficiency. Admiral, called the sensor officer, a young woman named Lisa Park. All ships reporting ready. Total count, 3,247 vessels awaiting your command. Davis nodded, her face calm despite the weight of the moment. 30 years of planning, building, and training had led to this. The greatest deception in human history was now fully revealed. The Dominion will not take this well, Miller said, quietly. They were never going to, Davis replied. From the moment they discovered humanity, they marked us for conquest. We just refused to be easy prey. The communications officer turned from his station. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Empress. On screen, Davis ordered. The image of Empress Vex appeared, her scaled face twisted with rage. The bony crest on her head was fully extended, a sign of extreme agitation among her species. Humans, she snarled. What treachery is this? You concealed your true military strength. Davis met the alien ruler's gaze steadily. We revealed exactly what we wanted you to see, Empress. The Dominion has conquered 17 species in the past 10,000 years. We studied those conquests carefully. You target weak civilizations or those that appear weak. So you deceived us, Vex hissed. We survived, Davis corrected. Your empire has a clear pattern. You send spies and observers first. You assess potential targets for years. If they seem unable to defend themselves, you conquer them. If they seem strong, you leave them alone. Miller stepped forward. I spent 7 years as a diplomat to your court, Empress. I saw how you treated species you deemed weak. We knew our time would come. Vex's yellow eyes narrowed. How did you hide such a fleet? Our sensors mapped every inch of your territory. Davis allowed herself a small smile. Not every inch. Gas. Giants like Jupiter and Saturn have powerful magnetic fields and constant storms. Perfect cover for our hidden shipyards. Your sensors couldn't penetrate them. We built our real fleet where you couldn't see. On a secondary screen, Davis could see tactical data showing a Dominion battle group approaching humanity's outermost colony. Just as Earth Command had predicted, the Empress was sending a small force to test humanity's capabilities. It changes nothing, Vex declared. The Dominion still has more ships, more experience. We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years while your kind was still using stone tools. Numbers aren't everything, Davis replied, and experience can breed overconfidence. Your ships may be numerous, but they are untested, Vex said dismissively. Mine have conquered countless worlds. Then I suppose we'll find out soon enough, Davis said, nodding toward the tactical display showing the approaching Dominion ships. Your attack force will reach our colony at New Horizon within the hour. Vex's expression shifted slightly, surprised that the humans had detected her ship so easily. We would still prefer peace to war, Empress, Miller added. Even now, The galaxy is vast. There's room for both our civilizations. Peace, Vex scoffed. After this deception, the Dominion does not share power. Your choice remains the same. Surrender or destruction. The transmission ended abruptly. Davis turned to her crew. They're not backing down. Signal Battle Group Alpha to defend New Horizon Colony. Execute Operation First Strike. As orders went out across the human fleet, Miller looked at Davis with concern. The Dominion attack force consists of 200 ships, their newest and best. Are you sure Alpha Group can handle them alone? Davis nodded confidently. Alpha Group has 50 of our Phantom-class vessels, more than enough. It's time to show the Empress what our ships can really do. Far from Earth, at the edge of human space, the colony of New Horizon orbited a distant star. It was humanity's newest settlement, home to just 50,000 people. Above the blue-green world, 20 Dominion battle cruisers and 180 support ships appeared from faster-than-light travel. Commander Trey Bennett of the UES Ghost watched from the bridge of his Phantom-class vessel as the Dominion ships formed attack positions. Around him, 49 similar human ships waited in perfect formation. They were smaller than the massive Dominion battle cruisers, but their dark hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Enemy ships launching fighters, reported his tactical officer. They're beginning their attack run on the colony. Bennett nodded calmly. Activate dimensional phase shields. Bring gravity weapons online. Let's show them what these ships can do. Across the human formation, the dark ships began to glow with a subtle blue light along their hulls. On the lead Dominion battlecruiser, Commander Ralek watched with contempt as his forces moved toward the human colony. The strange human ships were holding position, making no attempt to intercept. Pathetic, he said to his second-in-command. They don't even try to protect their colony. Sir, called his sensor officer with concern, I'm detecting strange energy readings from the human vessels. What kind of... Before Ralek could finish his question, the human ships vanished. Where did they go? He demanded. Unknown, Commander, they've disappeared from all sensors. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Dominion ship. 5 human vessels appeared directly alongside Ralek's battlecruiser, impossibly close within his shields. How did they... Ralek began, but his words were cut short as blue beams of energy shot from the human ships. The beams didn't explode or burn. Instead, they distorted space itself around the Dominion vessels. Gravity pulled in impossible directions. 3 Dominion cruisers were crushed into twisted metal. 2 more spun helplessly as their artificial gravity reversed. Across the battlefield, the human ships blinked in and out of normal space, appearing inside the defensive formations of the Dominion fleet. Their gravity weapons didn't need to penetrate shields. They warped space-time itself. On the UES Ghost, Commander Bennett watched as the Dominion forces tried desperately to counter their attack. But the Dominion ships were fighting an enemy they couldn't track, using weapons designed for a type of warfare that humans had moved beyond. Sir, his communications officer reported, the Dominion commander is broadcasting a retreat signal. Bennett nodded. Let them go. Our orders are to defend the colony, not pursue. As the surviving Dominion ships fled into faster-than-light travel, Bennett opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Davis appeared on screen. Report, Commander, she ordered. Complete. Success, Admiral, Bennett replied. The dimensional phase technology worked perfectly. They couldn't track us, couldn't hit us, their shields were useless. We neutralized 47 enemy ships. No casualties on our side. The remaining Dominion vessels are retreating. Davis nodded, satisfaction in her eyes. Well done, Commander. Return to defensive positions. This was just their first test. The real battle is yet to come. As Bennett's crew celebrated their victory, he knew the Admiral was right. They had surprised the Dominion today, but the Empress would not take this defeat lightly. The true test of humanity's deception and their new technology was still to come. Empress Vex's war chamber had gone silent. The holographic display showed the devastating defeat of her attack force at the human colony. Of the 200 ships she had sent, less than half had returned, many of those badly damaged. Impossible, Commander Krell whispered, breaking the silence. How could they defeat our best ships so easily? Vex's rage had cooled into something more dangerous, a cold, calculating fury. Show me the battle recordings again, she ordered. The display changed to show the battle from multiple angles. The strange human ships disappeared from normal space, then reappeared inside Dominion formations. Blue beams distorted space itself, crushing Dominion vessels without ever touching their shields. Analysis, Vex demanded. Science Officer Lorne stepped forward nervously. Based on the recordings, Empress, the humans appear to have mastered dimensional phasing. They can shift their ships between dimensions, allowing them to bypass our shields entirely. And these weapons? Vex pointed to the blue beams. Gravity manipulation, Lorne explained. They don't attack our ships directly. They warp gravity around them. No shield can block that. Vex's claws tapped on the table's surface. Can we copy this technology? Not quickly, Lorne admitted. Their approach is completely different from our own. They've taken a path of development we never explored. Then we will crush them with numbers, Vex declared. Prepare the main fleet. All 5,000 ships. We will overwhelm these humans with the full might of the Dominion. Commander Krell shifted uncomfortably. Empress, perhaps we should consider their offer of peace. If their technology is this advanced, Vex spun toward him, her neck crest fully, extended in rage. Peace? After they humiliated the Dominion? After they made fools of us all? No. They will be destroyed, and you will lead the attack, Commander. Krell bowed low. As you command, Empress. Aboard the UES Defiance, Admiral Davis and Captain Miller watched the tactical display as the remaining Dominion ships retreated from New Horizon Colony. They'll be back, Miller said quietly, and in much greater numbers. Davis nodded. We're counting on it. That's why we revealed our fleet now rather than waiting longer. Miller looked confused. I don't understand. Walk with me, Davis said, leading him from the bridge into a private meeting room. Once the door closed, Davis activated a holographic display showing the entire galaxy. The Dominion has ruled through fear for too long. Other species suffer under their control. We've been in secret contact with 7 of them over the past decade. Green dots appeared across the display, marking worlds far from Earth. The Arcturians, the Vega Collective, the Free Systems of Rigel, Davis pointed to each, all waiting for someone to stand against the Dominion, but none have the technology or numbers to do it alone. Miller began to understand. So our battle at New Horizon was broadcast across special channels to our allies, Davis confirmed. They now know the Dominion can be defeated. When Vex sends her main fleet against us, she'll leave her core worlds vulnerable. A coordinated rebellion, Miller whispered. While the Dominion focuses on us? Davis smiled grimly. Exactly. But first, we need to survive her next attack. 3 days later, the massive Dominion fleet arrived at the edge of human space. 4,800 warships prepared to crush the upstart humans once and for all. Commander Krell stood on the bridge of the flagship, surveying the armada. He commanded. Even against the humans' mysterious technology, such overwhelming numbers would surely prevail. All ships report ready, Commander, his second-in-command announced. Krell nodded. Begin the advance. Target Earth directly. Cut off the head, and the body will die. The enormous fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a testament to the Dominion's 10,000 years of military tradition. As they approached the outer edges of the Sol system, human ships appeared ahead, a mere 300 vessels facing the might of the Dominion armada. They send so few to oppose us? Krell laughed. Perhaps they've realized the futility of resistance. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings with concern. Sir, these ships are different from the ones we faced at New Horizon. Larger, more power readings. Before Krell could respond, the space around the Dominion fleet distorted. Massive waves of gravity rolled through their formation, throwing ships off course and disrupting their careful battle lines. What's happening? Krell demanded. Unknown gravity distortions, Commander, the science officer reported frantically. They're coming from Jupiter. The massive gas giant that orbited Earth's sun was glowing with strange blue energy patterns across its swirling storms. The human ships weren't attacking. They were simply holding position. They're using the planet itself as a weapon, the science officer realized with horror. They've installed gravity generators throughout Jupiter's core. The Dominion ship struggled against the unpredictable gravity waves. Hundreds of smaller vessels were crushed or thrown into collisions as space itself became their enemy. Press. Forward, Krell ordered. Ignore the distortions. Target those human ships. The Dominion fleet fired thousands of energy beams toward the human vessels. But as the beams approached, they bent and twisted, missing their targets entirely. They're bending our weapons fire with gravity fields, the tactical officer reported. Krell slammed his fist on his command chair. Launch all fighters. They can't distort so many targets at once. 10,000 Dominion fighters streamed toward the human ships. As they approached, 300 new contacts appeared on Krell's tactical display. Small, fast human fighters launching from the larger vessels. Unlike the Dominion fighters, which relied on speed and energy weapons, the human craft were nearly invisible to sensors. They phased in and out of normal space, appearing inside the Dominion fighter formations, causing chaos and confusion. On the bridge of the UES Swift, one of humanity's carrier ships, Commander Tanya Lee watched her pilots tear through the Dominion fighter screen. Tiger Squadron, watch your phase timing, she ordered over the tactical channel. Remember your training. 3 seconds in normal space, then phase out. Don't give them a chance to lock weapons. Yes, Commander, came the response from Tiger. Leader, their fighters have no defense against our phasing. It's almost too easy. Lee frowned. Stay focused. There's nothing easy about this battle. On her display, she could see the massive Dominion fleet struggling against the gravity weapons built into Jupiter. Earth Command had spent 15 years hollowing out sections of the gas giant to install enormous gravity generators. The planet itself had become humanity's greatest weapon. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Defiance, Admiral Davis and Captain Miller watched the battle unfold. The Jupiter gravity defense is working better than expected, Miller observed. Davis nodded. For now. But look, their largest ships are adapting using counter-gravity fields to stabilize. Indeed, the massive Dominion dreadnoughts were slowly pushing through the gravity distortions, adjusting their fields to compensate. It's time for Phase 2, Davis decided. She opened a channel to all human ships. All vessels, execute Operation Sunburst. Across the battlefield, the human ships suddenly broke formation, accelerating toward the sun at incredible speeds. Commander Krell watched with confusion as the human fleet retreated. They run toward their star? Cowards. His science officer looked up from her console, eyes wide with alarm. Commander, I'm detecting massive energy buildups within the human ships. They're doing something to the sun. As the Dominion fleet watched, unable to pursue quickly through the gravity distortions, the human vessels formed a perfect ring around Earth's star. Blue energy beams connected each ship to the next, creating a complete circuit. What are they doing? Krell demanded. His question was answered as the surface of the sun erupted in a carefully controlled solar flare, a massive tongue of plasma directed straight toward the Dominion fleet. Evasive maneuvers, Krell shouted, but it was too late. The solar flare engulfed the front third of his fleet. Overwhelming shields and melting hull metal, hundreds of ships vanished in the stellar fire. As the flare dissipated, Krell stared at the damage report in shock. Over 1,500 Dominion vessels destroyed or disabled in a single attack. They've weaponized their star, his science officer whispered in awe and horror. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Krell felt true fear. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were fighting in ways the Dominion had never imagined possible. Empress Vex must be informed, he said quietly. We need to regroup and reconsider our approach. As he gave the order to withdraw, the surviving ships, Krell wondered if the mighty Dominion had finally met its match. Empress Vex stood alone in her private chamber aboard her personal warship, the Eternal Dominion. The massive vessel, 12 miles long and carrying enough weapons to destroy an entire planet, had moved to the edge of human space. Outside her viewport, the remnants of her once proud fleet gathered, 3,000 ships remained of the original 5,000. The reports from Commander Krell had been difficult to believe, yet the evidence was undeniable. Humans had technologies the Dominion had never imagined. They had turned planets into weapons and bent starlight to their will. "Empress," her aide called softly from the doorway. "They are here." Vex turned, her scaled face showing no emotion. "Send them in." The doors slid open to reveal Captain James Miller and Admiral Helen Davis. They entered without escort, walking calmly into what might have been a trap. Their confidence infuriated Vex, but she kept her anger controlled. "You requested this meeting," Vex said coldly. "Speak." Miller stepped forward. "Empress, this war can end today. No more ships need be lost, no more lives sacrificed. You think because you won 2 battles you have won the war?" Vex scoffed. "The Dominion spans 1,000 worlds. We can build more ships. We can gather more forces. This conflict has barely begun." "It's not just about our battles," Davis replied. "While your main fleet attacked Earth, other things were happening across the galaxy." She activated a small device, projecting a galaxy map into the air between them. Red dots representing Dominion worlds flashed across the display. 7 hours ago, the Arcturian Conclave overthrew Dominion rule in their home system, Davis explained, pointing to a cluster of stars. 5 hours ago, the Vega Collective did the same. 3 hours ago, the Rigel systems declared independence. Vex stared at the display, her 4 eyes widening slightly, the only sign of her shock. "You coordinated this," she realized. "You planned this rebellion." Miller nodded. "For 10 years we've been in contact with species under Dominion rule. We shared our technology with them, helped them prepare. They just needed to know the Dominion could be defeated." "Traitors," Vex hissed. "Freedom fighters," Davis corrected. "People tired of living under the boot of an empire that takes everything and gives nothing in return." Before Vex could respond, the doors to her chamber opened again. Commander Krell entered, followed by several other Dominion leaders. Their expressions were grim. "Empress," Krell said, bowing slightly. "We're receiving reports from across Dominion space. 27 systems have declared independence in the past 12 hours. Our forces are stretched too thin to respond to all of them." "And there's more," a new voice announced. Everyone turned to see a holographic projection appear beside the humans. 7 figures materialized, representatives from different alien species, each wearing formal diplomatic attire. "I am Council Leader Exor of the Arcturian Conclave," announced a tall, slender being with blue skin and silver eyes. "We have observed these events with great interest. Humanity has demonstrated that your empire is not invincible. The balance of power has shifted. We have formed a new alliance," added another figure, a golden-skinned being with 4 arms. "The Free Systems Coalition. Already 112 worlds have joined our cause." Vex's crest flattened against her head, a sign of extreme distress among her kind. "This is unprecedented treason," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Miller stepped forward again. "It doesn't have to be war, Empress. We're offering a different path. A new Galactic Accord where all species, including the Dominion, have equal standing. Where trade and cooperation replace conquest and subjugation." He placed a data crystal on the table before her. "These are our terms. Fair terms. The alternative is a war that might last decades. You might win eventually, but at a cost too terrible to contemplate." Vex stared at the crystal for a long moment. In her 10,000 years of rule, no one had ever dared to offer terms to the Dominion. Yet here she stood, facing not just humanity but a coalition of former subjects who now possessed technology that rivaled or surpassed her own. "Commander," she said finally, "your assessment of our strategic position?" Krell stepped forward, his military training evident in his precise movements. "Empress, we face a multi-front conflict against enemies with technology we do not fully understand. Our supply lines are compromised. 23 shipyards have been captured by rebel forces. If we commit to full war, the cost would be—" He hesitated. "Unprecedented." Vex's rage still burned, but her survival instinct was stronger. The Dominion had ruled for 10,000 years by knowing when to strike and when to adapt. "Leave us," she ordered her commanders. When they had gone, she turned back to the humans and the alien representatives. "Speak plainly. What do you really want?" Admiral Davis met her gaze. "A galaxy where power is balanced, where no single species dictates to all others, where we can all advance together rather than at each other's expense." "And if I refuse?" Vex challenged. "Then we fight," Davis said simply. "Our ships can phase between dimensions, our weapons manipulate gravity itself. We've turned planets and stars into weapons, and now we've shared these technologies with your former subjects." Miller's expression softened slightly. "But that's not what we want, Empress. War benefits no one in the long run. History has taught humanity that bitter lesson many times." For a long moment Vex was silent, calculating her options. Then, with a movement that surprised everyone present, she picked up the data crystal. "I will review your terms," she said. "The Dominion has survived this long by adapting when necessary." 3 days later, representatives from 28 species gathered on neutral ground, a space station orbiting a star at the borders of human and Dominion space. The Eternal Dominion hung in space nearby alongside the UES Defiance. Inside the station's grand conference chamber, Captain Miller watched as Empress Vex pressed her clawed hand to the document before her, the Terran Accord. It would restructure power across the galaxy, limiting the Dominion's authority while establishing protections for all member species. Admiral Davis signed next, representing Earth's unified government. Then, one by one, representatives from the newly freed worlds added their signatures or marks. When it was done, an expectant hush fell over the chamber. Empress Vex rose to her full height, towering over the human representatives. "Let it be known," she declared, her voice carrying to all present, "that the Stellar Dominion honors its agreements. A new age begins today." As the gathering broke into muted conversation, Miller found himself standing next to the Empress. "Your deception was masterful, human," Vex said quietly. "For 30 years you prepared for this moment." Miller nodded. "We learned from Earth's history. Appearing weak while building strength is the surest way to deter aggression. We never wanted war, just the ability to prevent one." Vex's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "Perhaps your species has wisdom after all. The Dominion adapted too slowly to your emergence. That will not happen again." "Is that a threat, Empress?" Miller asked calmly. "A recognition," Vex replied. "The galaxy has changed. We must change with it." As the Empress moved away to speak, with other delegates, Admiral Davis joined Miller by the viewport. Together they looked out at the stars, the same stars that humanity had nearly gone to war for, now secured through a combination of strength, deception, and ultimately, diplomacy. "Do you think it will last?" Miller asked quietly. Davis shrugged. "Peace is never permanent, but we've created something unprecedented, a balance of power that makes war too costly for anyone to attempt." Miller smiled slightly. "From hiding ships and gas giants to rewriting the Galactic Order. Not bad for a species that the Dominion thought was easy prey." "The best deceptions," Davis said, "are the ones that lead to truth in the end. We pretended to be weak to avoid war. Now we've revealed our strength to secure peace." Outside the viewport, ships from 24 species moved in careful patterns, no longer enemies, not quite friends, but bound together by the new reality they had all helped create. The deception that had saved humanity from subjugation had become the foundation for an unprecedented era of peace among the stars. The meeting room of the Stellar Alliance headquarters was quiet, except for the soft hum of air filters. 27 different alien species had lived in peace for over 300 years. None of them came from harsh worlds. Their home planets were gentle places with mild weather, few natural disasters, and almost no dangerous animals. Ambassador Trell of the Luminary species led today's meeting. His skin glowed with a soft blue light as he spoke about trade routes and resource sharing. The other representatives listened politely. Some took notes. A few fought to stay awake during the boring discussion. No one expected what happened next. A harsh, loud noise cut through the calm of the meeting room. Every screen on the walls flashed red. The emergency alert system had activated for the first time in 50 years. "What is happening?" Trell asked, his blue glow turning purple with alarm. Officer Lumi rushed to the main control panel. Her 6 fingers flew across the screen as she tried to find the source of the alert. "It's a distress call," she said, her voice shaking. "Coming from the Florian research station in the outer systems." The message played on all screens. "Under attack. Heavy casualties. Need immediate assistance. Coordinates attached." The room erupted in panic. The Florians were among the gentlest species in the Alliance. They looked like walking plants with delicate green skin and leaf-like hair. They avoided conflict at all costs. Who would attack them? "We must send help right away," said Representative Mako. He was from the Aquarian waterworlds. His fish-like face showed genuine concern for the Florians. Admiral Orb moved to the front of the room. The old military leader's scales had faded from bright red to dull orange over his long career. He raised a clawed hand for silence. "This could be a trap," he warned. "If attackers are still there, our rescue ships would be in danger. None of our vessels are built for combat. The Alliance had no true warships. They had not fought a war in over 200 years. Their ships carried minimal weapons, just enough to deflect space debris or scare away the rare space pirate." "The Florians are studying a new energy source," said Trell. "Perhaps someone wanted to steal it." Officer Lumi gasped suddenly. All eyes turned to her. "Another ship has changed course to respond to the distress call," she said. Her voice had dropped to a whisper. "It's coming from the restricted zone." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what lived in the restricted zone. Humans. The Alliance had discovered Earth 50 years ago. They studied the planet from a safe distance and were horrified by what they found. Earth was classified as a Category 5 death world. Its gravity was too strong. Its weather was violent and unpredictable. Dangerous animals roamed freely, and the dominant species, humans, had survived it all. Humans were nightmares made real to the Alliance species. They had dense muscles and strong bones. They could survive injuries that would kill most Alliance members. Their immune systems attacked unknown substances with shocking aggression. They could eat foods that would poison other species. They even enjoyed bitter and spicy tastes that would cause most aliens severe pain. Worst of all, humans had a long history of warfare. They fought each other constantly throughout their history. They developed weapons specifically to kill each other. While the Alliance was building its peaceful union, humans were perfecting ways to destroy themselves. The Alliance Council decided that humans were too dangerous to contact. They placed Earth under quarantine. No Alliance ship was allowed near the solar system. No communication was permitted. It was safer to leave the Deathworlders alone on their violent planet. But now, a human ship was heading toward the Florian outpost. "How did they get a ship that far from Earth?" asked Representative Mako. "The quarantine boys should have stopped them." "We underestimated them," said Admiral Orb. His voice was grim. "They must have built better ships than we thought possible." "Officer," Lumi pulled up the ship's information on the main screen. "It's called the UES Defender," she said. "UES stands for United Earth Ship. It's moving at..." "That can't be right." "What is it?" demanded Trell. "It's moving faster than our fastest ships," she said. "It will reach the Florian outpost in hours, not days." The council members looked at each other in shock. Alliance technology was supposed to be far superior to human technology. How had the humans built such a fast ship without anyone noticing? "We must warn the Florians," said Trell. "The humans could be worse than whoever attacked them." "It's too late," said Officer Lumi. "All communication with the outpost is down, and the human ship will arrive long before any of our vessels could get there." Admiral Orb paced the room, his claws clicking on the floor. "We know almost nothing about human behavior in space. We don't know their intentions." "Their ship is called Defender," pointed out Representative Mako. "That suggests they want to help, not harm." "Or it's a trick," said another council member. A predator in disguise. Trell made a decision. We will send our fastest ship to the Florian outpost. We need to know what happens when the humans arrive. The nearest Alliance vessel was the Observer, a science ship studying a nearby gas giant. It wasn't designed for rescue or combat, but it had good sensors and a skilled crew. Captain Plex, an experienced luminary like Trell, received the emergency orders with surprise. Humans? He asked during the secure transmission. Are you certain? Yes, said Trell. Do not engage them. Just watch and report. We need to know what they do. The Observer changed course immediately. It would take 2 days to reach the Florian outpost. By then, the humans would have been there for over a day. Back at Alliance headquarters, the Council set up an emergency command center. They gathered all available information about humans. It wasn't much. Most of their data came from intercepted broadcasts and long-distance observation. Humans evolved as pursuit predators, explained a xenobiologist named Dr. Finn. Her presentation showed images of early humans chasing animals across open plains. They can keep running for hours. They don't give up. They live in groups and protect each other fiercely, added a cultural expert. They form strong bonds even with strangers. And they're curious, said a behavior specialist. They explore constantly, even when it's dangerous. Admiral Orb looked troubled. So they're pack hunters with too much endurance and no fear. And now they have a fast ship with unknown capabilities. Officer Lumi's console beeped. The human ship has increased speed again. They must be pushing their engines beyond safety limits. Why? Asked Trell. Why risk their ship for aliens they've never met? No one had an answer. For the next few hours, the Council could only wait and watch as the UES Defender raced toward the Florian outpost. The humans were coming, and no one knew what would happen when they arrived. The Florians are peaceful researchers, said Representative Mako softly. They wouldn't harm anyone. It's not the Florians I'm worried about, replied Admiral Orb. It's what the humans might do when they find the outpost damaged and the Florians hurt or dead. What will Deathworlders do when they witness the aftermath? Of violence? Trell's glow dimmed with worry. We're about to find out. The UES Defender dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Florian research outpost. The human ship was not large, but its design was unlike any Alliance vessel. It had a sleek, predatory look with armor plating and visible weapon ports. This was a ship built for danger. On the bridge, Captain Jack stood from his command chair and studied the view screen. The Florian outpost floated ahead, a once beautiful structure now broken and dark. Parts of it were torn open to space. Debris floated around it like a cloud of metal tears. Life signs? Jack asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Navigator Ben checked his scanner and nodded. Yes, Captain. Faint readings. I count 12 survivors. There should be 48 staff according to the station plans. The humans had intercepted enough Alliance communications over the years to learn about the different species. They knew the Florians were plant-like beings who studied energy sources and avoided conflict. What happened here? Asked Medical Officer Rose. She had already gathered her emergency kit, ready to help the survivors. Security Chief Alex studied the damage patterns on the screen. His trained eye saw what others might miss. This wasn't random. Look at the impact. Points. Communications first, then defense systems, then life support. The attackers knew exactly what they were doing. Pirates, said Jack. He had seen this before. They hit fast, disable the target, and take what they want. Engineer Max checked the radiation readings and frowned. Captain, the station is leaking. Radiation from their research labs. It's hitting dangerous levels in some sections. How dangerous? Asked Jack. For Florians? Lethal within minutes, said Max. For us, uncomfortable but manageable for a few hours. The humans looked at each other. They knew they were different from the Alliance species. Earth's higher radiation levels, stronger gravity, and harsher conditions had made humans tougher. What would kill a Florian would merely hurt a human. Prep the shuttle, ordered Jack. Full rescue team. Basic radiation gear only. We need to move fast. As the crew prepared for the rescue mission, Jack sent a message to Earth Command. Found damaged Alliance station. Survivors present. Proceeding with rescue. Will update. He knew this would change everything. Humans had respected the Alliance's quarantine for years, watching and learning from a distance, but they couldn't ignore a distress call. It wasn't in their nature to let others suffer when they could help. The rescue shuttle launched from the Defender. Inside were Jack, Alex, Rose, and 4 security team members. They wore light radiation suits that would have been useless to Alliance species, but provided enough protection for humans. The shuttle docked with the damaged station. Their airlock was broken, so they had to cut their way in. Atmosphere is thin but breathable, reported Alex after scanning the air. Temperature is dropping. Power systems are failing. Spread out in pairs, ordered Jack. Find survivors. Be careful. The attackers might still be here. The humans moved through the damaged station with practiced efficiency. Years of training for space emergencies had prepared them for this moment. They stepped over broken equipment and floated through sections exposed to space with ease that would have amazed Alliance observers. Rose found the first survivor, a Florian engineer trapped under fallen equipment. The alien's green skin had paled and the leaf-like hair was wilting. "I've got one," Rose called over the comm. "Alive but injured." The Florian's eyes widened in fear when it saw Rose. The alien had never seen a human before, but it recognized the species from Alliance warning files. A death worlder was standing over it, a creature evolved from predators. "It's okay," said Rose gently, using the Alliance common language she had learned from intercepted communications. "I'm here to help. I'm a doctor." The Florian was too weak to resist as Rose carefully lifted the debris and administered emergency medical care. The alien was surprised by the human's gentle touch despite her obvious strength. In another section, Jack found what appeared to be the station's control room. Most of the equipment was destroyed, but one Florian was still alive. By the special markings on its clothing, Jack guessed this was the station's leader. "Help has arrived," Jack said, kneeling beside the injured alien. "We'll get you to safety." The Florian leader, Director Root, stared at Jack with a mixture of fear and wonder. You're human," Root whispered. Its voice was weak but clear. "Yes," said Jack. "We received your distress call." "Why did you come?" asked Root. "The Alliance forbids contact with Earth. Someone needed help," said Jack simply, as if that explained everything. As Jack helped Root to a safer area, the Florian leader struggled to speak again. "The collectors," Root said. "They took our research, and my people." "Collectors?" asked Jack. "Is that what you call the attackers?" "It's what they call themselves," said Root. "They collect rare things, technology, resources, and specimens." Jack's expression darkened. "They took your people as specimens?" Root nodded weakly. "The energy source we discovered, they wanted it. But they also took 20 of my researchers. Live captures. Meanwhile, the rescue team had found more survivors. Some were trapped in sealed emergency chambers. Others had hidden in maintenance tunnels. All were injured and frightened, especially when they saw their rescuers were humans. "The radiation levels are rising," warned Alex over the comm. "We need to move these people soon or they won't make it." "Bring them to the shuttle," ordered Jack. "Rose, what's their medical status?" "Not good," replied Rose. "Their bodies are more fragile than ours. The radiation is affecting them badly. They need specialized care." "The Defender has a medical bay," said Jack. "We've studied Alliance physiology. We can help them until their own people arrive." By the time all 12 survivors were loaded onto the shuttle, the humans were feeling the effects of the radiation themselves. Their skin was reddened, and they felt nauseous. But they kept working, carrying Florians who couldn't walk, and securing them safely for transport. Back on the Defender, Rose and her medical team worked to stabilize the Florians. The aliens were surprised by the human medical bay. It was designed to handle traumatic injuries and harsh conditions that Alliance medics rarely encountered. Jack called a meeting with his senior officers and Director Root, who was the least injured of the Florians. The Alliance will send help. Eventually, said Jack. But we need to know more about these collectors. They didn't just steal technology, they took your people. Root nodded sadly. They have attacked other outposts before. They take what they want and disappear. The Alliance has never been able to track them. We found this, said Alex, placing a small device on the table. It's part of their communication system. It's still transmitting a signal. Can we track it? Asked Jack. Max nodded. Already working on it, Captain. I think I can trace their course. Why would you help us? Asked Root. The Alliance has kept your people isolated, treated you as dangerous. Jack looked at the alien leader. My great-grandmother used to say that when someone's house is burning, you don't ask if they like you before you help put out the fire. Rose entered the meeting room with a medical update. The Florians are stable, but 4 are in critical condition. They need specialized care soon. And the others who were taken, asked Jack. How long can they survive as captives? Root's leaf-like hair drooped. Not long. Our bodies are not made for stress or harsh conditions. The collectors do not treat specimens gently. Jack made his decision. We're going after them. We'll rescue your people and recover your research. The Florians looked at Jack in shock. These humans, creatures the Alliance feared as violent and unpredictable, were volunteering to risk their lives for aliens they had just met. Alliance protocol requires me to contact headquarters before proceeding, said Root. The nearest Alliance ship is still a day away, said Ben. The trail will be cold by then. Jack stood up. We respect Alliance rules, Director Root. But right. Now your people's lives are in danger. We can help. Will you let us? Root looked at the determined faces of the human crew. Perhaps the Alliance had been wrong about Deathworlders. Perhaps there was more to humans than their physical strength and violent history. Yes, said Root finally. Please save my people. The UES Defender followed the signal from the collector's ship through space. Captain Jack stood on the bridge watching as Navigator Ben plotted their course. They're heading into the Razor Belt, said Ben with surprise. The Razor Belt was a massive asteroid field. Thousands of jagged rocks tumbled through space, smashing into each other and creating even more dangerous debris. Alliance ships avoided this area completely. Their navigation systems couldn't handle the constantly changing paths of the asteroids. Can we follow them? Asked Jack. Engineer Max nodded confidently. Earth ships are built for worse conditions. Our navigation system updates 10 times faster than Alliance tech. He grinned. We trained in Saturn's rings, remember? This is just a bit more crowded. Director Root had insisted on joining the pursuit despite still recovering from injuries. The Florian leader watched the humans with growing amazement. None of them seemed worried about flying into what Alliance pilots called certain death. No Alliance vessel would attempt this, Root said quietly. The risk is too great. For us, it's Tuesday, joked Security Chief Alex. When Root looked, confused, Alex added, It means this is normal for us. Earth has many dangers. We adapt. The Defender slipped into the asteroid field with careful precision. Ben's hands moved quickly over the navigation controls, adjusting their course with each new scan. Occasionally, a smaller rock would hit the ship's hull with a dull thud, but the armor held. How are you so calm? Root asked Rose as another asteroid passed by, missing them by meters. Rose smiled gently. On Earth we have hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions. Space rocks are just one more thing to deal with. For 3 days they tracked the collectors through the Razor Belt. The human crew worked in shifts, always alert, always ready. They ate strange food that Root couldn't identify and drank a bitter black liquid they called coffee that seemed to keep them awake for hours. On the 3rd day, Ben called out from his station. Captain, I found something. Everyone gathered around his screen. Hidden among the largest asteroids was a structure too regular to be natural. It's a base, said Jack. They've hollowed out an asteroid and built inside it. Alex studied the scans. No wonder the Alliance couldn't find them. It's completely hidden unless you're right on top of it. I'm detecting multiple ships docked inside, added Ben, including the one that attacked the Florian outpost. Can you scan for life signs? Asked Root anxiously. Are my people still alive? Ben adjusted the sensors. I'm picking up many different life forms. It's hard to separate them at this distance, but there are definitely Florians in there and others too. Others? Asked Jack. Different species, confirmed Ben. I think this is more than just a pirate base. It's some kind of collection facility. The implications sank in. The collectors weren't just pirates stealing technology. They were taking people from across the galaxy. Jack called his senior officers to the conference room to plan their approach. Director Root joined them, still struggling with the concept of humans voluntarily heading into danger. We need to do this quietly, said Jack. Get in, locate the captives and the stolen research. Get out. Their security will be tight, warned Alex. I recommend a small team. Just enough of us to handle threats, but not so many that we can't move quickly. We'll need a distraction, suggested Max. Something to draw their attention while the rescue team gets inside. Rose looked concerned. The captive Florians may be in bad shape. We should be prepared for medical emergencies. Jack nodded. Okay. Alex, Rose, Max, you're with me on the boarding team. Ben will stay here and fly the ship. We'll use shuttle. 2, it's smaller and has stealth capabilities. I want to come too, said Root. Those are my people. Jack looked at the Florian leader. Root was still weak from injuries and Florians weren't built for combat. But Jack understood the need to help one's own people. You can come, but you stay with Rose at all times, he said firmly. Your knowledge of Florian physiology will help. Rose care for the rescued captives. As they prepared for the mission, Jack briefed the team on the plan. Max would create a distraction by launching small probes that would interfere with the base's external sensors. Meanwhile, the rescue team would dock at a maintenance airlock on the asteroid's dark side. We go in quiet. We find the captives. We get out, Jack repeated. No unnecessary risks. The team suited up in light combat gear. The humans checked their equipment with practiced movements, while Root awkwardly adjusted a protective vest Rose had modified to fit Florian anatomy. Your people really do prepare for everything, Root commented, watching Alex check his weapons. On Earth, the unexpected is what we expect, replied Alex. Not being ready means not surviving. The small shuttle detached from the Defender and moved silently toward the asteroid base. Max launched the distraction probes, which immediately began broadcasting conflicting signals. Alarms would be going off inside the base, but in all the wrong areas. They reached the maintenance airlock without being detected. Max used portable equipment to bypass the lock controls, and the door slid open. We're in, whispered Jack. Stay close. Rose and Root in the middle. Alex and I will take point. Max, watch our backs. The inside of the asteroid was surprisingly large. The collectors had carved out extensive tunnels and chambers throughout the rock. The lighting was dim, with an eerie blue glow that made shadows stretch like grasping hands. Alex pointed to markings on the wall. A basic map of the facility. There, he whispered. Holding area, 2 levels down. They moved through the facility, carefully. Twice they had to hide as collector guards passed by. The aliens were tall with 4 arms and dark gray skin. They wore light armor and carried energy weapons. I've never seen this species before, whispered Root. They're not part of the Alliance. Probably from beyond Alliance space, suggested Rose. There's a whole galaxy out there we know nothing about. When they reached the holding area, they found it divided into sections. Each section contained different species, held behind energy barriers. The captives looked weak and frightened. There are my people. Root pointed to a section where several Florians huddled together. Their green skin had turned pale, and their leaf-like hair was wilting badly. And there's more, said Jack grimly, looking at the other cells. Aquarians, Luminari, all Alliance species. This isn't just a pirate operation, said Max. It's a full-scale abduction program. Rose checked her scanner. The captives are in poor condition, dehydrated, malnourished. The Florians are the worst. They need light and water urgently. We need to shut down the energy barriers, said Jack. Max? Max examined the control panel. I can do it, but it will trigger alarms. We'll deal with that when it happens. Do it. Max bypassed the security and shut down the barriers. Immediately, alarms began to wail throughout the facility. We've got company coming, warned Alex, as his scanner picked up multiple signals converging on their position. Rose and Root hurried to the Florian captives. We're here to rescue you, Root explained quickly. These humans are helping us. The captive Florians were too weak to move quickly. Jack and his team would have to carry them. Max, find the research data, ordered Jack as he lifted 2 Florians. We need that too. Max accessed a nearby terminal. Got it, Captain. They've been analyzing the energy source. It's incredible. This could revolutionize space travel. Download everything and let's go, said Jack. Just as they were organizing the captives for evacuation, the first collector guards appeared. Alex fired a warning shot that forced them to take cover. We need a new exit route, said Jack. Our entry point is blocked. Max checked his scanner. There's a docking bay 1 level up. If we can get there, we might be able to steal a ship. Or call the Defender for pickup, added Jack. Ben can bring her close enough. As they moved toward the docking bay, more guards attacked. Alex and Jack protected the group while Rose and Root helped the weakened captives. Max worked frantically to open doors and seal them behind the group. They reached a large open chamber just before the docking bay. It was some kind of processing center with examination tables and strange equipment, and it was full of collector workers. Stop right there, ordered one who appeared to be the leader. Those specimens belong to us. Jack stepped forward. They're not specimens. They're people. And they're coming with us. The collector leader seemed amused. You're human, it observed. We've wanted to add your species to our collection. Deathworlders are rare and valuable. Sorry to disappoint. You, said Jack. But humans don't collect well. As the collectors moved to surround them, a sudden explosion rocked the facility. The lights flickered, and emergency sirens joined the alarms. What was that? Demanded the collector leader. Jack smiled. That would be our ship. I think you'll find your defense systems are failing. Ben's voice came through their comm units. Defender to rescue team. I've disabled their main power core. Docking bay shields are down. I'm coming in to get you. The collector leader snarled and raised its weapon. You'll never leave this facility. You'll never leave this facility. The collector leader raised its weapon at Captain Jack. Before the alien could fire, Alex moved with surprising speed. He tackled Jack out of the way as energy blasts hit the wall behind them. The other collectors began shooting too. Everyone take cover, shouted Jack, pulling 2 weakened Florians behind a large metal container. The rescue team and freed captives scattered, hiding behind equipment as the collectors continued firing. Rose and Root helped the injured aliens while Max worked frantically. On a nearby control panel, Max, what are you doing? Jack called over the noise of weapon fire. Trying to shut down their weapons, Max replied, his fingers flying over the alien technology. Their systems are strange, but I think I can... Suddenly, the lights in the facility flickered. The collector's weapons powered down with a dying whine. Got it? Max grinned. Rerouted power from their weapons to life support. They can fix it, but it'll take time. Alex didn't wait. He charged forward, knocking aside 2 surprised collectors. Jack followed, clearing a path toward the docking. Bay doors. Move now, Jack ordered. Everyone to the docking bay. The group rushed forward, the humans carrying Florians too weak to run. The collectors tried to stop them with physical force, but the humans were stronger. Even Rose, the medical officer, easily pushed aside a collector who tried to grab her. They reached the docking bay just as the massive doors opened. The UES Defender hovered outside. Its entry ramp extended like a welcoming hand. Go, 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 Jack urged, helping the freed captives aboard. The collector leader appeared at the bay entrance, holding an emergency weapon that still worked. You're stealing our property, it shouted. Root turned to face the alien. Though still weak, the Florian stood as tall as possible. People are not property, Root said firmly. The Alliance will know what you've done here. The collector laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. The Alliance, they're too weak to stop us. They don't even know we exist. But we do, said Jack, stepping beside Root. And now we're going to tell them everything. The Collector aimed its weapon at Jack, but before it could fire, the Defender's defensive systems activated. A precise energy pulse hit the weapon, melting. The Collector dropped the hot metal with a cry of pain. Time to go, said Jack, guiding Root up the ramp. Once everyone was aboard, the Defender pulled away from the asteroid base. Max had downloaded all the data about the Florian energy research and the Collector's operation. More importantly, all 20 missing Florians and 35 other Alliance species had been rescued. Rose immediately set up a treatment area in the ship's cargo bay. She and Root worked together to care for the weakened aliens. They'll recover, Rose told Jack after her initial assessments. The Florians need special light and nutrients, but we can create what they need. Good, said Jack. What about the base? Did we get everything we needed? Max nodded excitedly. More than we expected, Captain. I downloaded their entire database. The Collectors aren't just random pirates, they're an organized operation. They've been studying Alliance species for years. And that's not all, added Ben from his navigation station. According to their flight plans, they have a mothership. It's huge, Captain, and it's heading toward Alliance headquarters. This news silenced the bridge. Even the rescued aliens looked up in alarm. Are they planning an attack? Asked Jack. It looks that way, confirmed Max, examining the data. They've been gathering information about Alliance defense systems, identifying weaknesses. Their mothership carries enough firepower to overwhelm the entire Alliance security fleet. Director Root looked horrified. We must warn the Alliance immediately. Jack nodded. Set course for Alliance headquarters, maximum speed. We need to get there before the Collectors. As the Defender accelerated to faster-than-light travel, Jack called a meeting with his officers and Director Root. They needed to plan their approach carefully. Humans had never officially contacted the Alliance before. They might not believe us, warned Alex, or they might see us as the greater threat. We have evidence, said Max, pointing to the data they'd recovered. And we have rescued Alliance citizens who can speak for us? Root agreed. I will tell them how you saved us, but the Council will be afraid when they see humans for the first time. Can't be helped, said Jack. The warning is too important to delay. The Defender reached Alliance space 3 days later. As they approached the headquarters, a beautiful, ring-shaped station orbiting a neutral star, they began broadcasting on all Alliance frequencies. This is Captain Jack of the United Earthship Defender. We are carrying rescued Alliance citizens and critical information about an imminent attack. Request permission to approach. The response was immediate and anxious. UES Defender, you are in restricted space. Identify the Alliance citizens aboard. Director Root took over communications. This is Director Root of the Florian Science Division. The humans rescued me and many others from captivity. They have vital information about an enemy called the Collectors who plan to attack headquarters. You must listen to them. There was a long pause before the reply came. Maintain position. A security vessel will escort you to a safe docking area. As they waited, the humans prepared for their first official meeting with the Alliance Council. They wore their formal uniforms and tried to look as non-threatening as possible. Remember, Jack told his crew, they've been taught to fear us. Move slowly, speak calmly, and give them space. When they finally docked and the airlocks opened, they were met by a group of heavily armed security officers from multiple species. Admiral Orb himself led them, his orange scales now pale with stress. Director Root, he said, ignoring the humans completely. Are you and the other rescued citizens well? Yes, Admiral, Root replied. Thanks entirely to these humans who risked their lives to save us. Admiral Orb finally looked at Jack and his crew. The humans were taller and more solidly built than most Alliance species. Their confident posture and alert eyes marked them as predators by evolution. But they stood perfectly still, allowing the Alliance security team to scan them for weapons. Captain Jack, Orb said formally, your presence here violates multiple Alliance protocols. We're aware, Admiral, Jack replied calmly. But the situation is urgent. You claim the collectors are planning to attack our headquarters, said Orb skeptically. How convenient that only humans know of this threat. Max stepped forward, holding a data device. We have their attack plans, fleet positions, and weapons specifications, all taken directly from their base. Before Orb could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. A communications officer rushed up to the Admiral. Sir, long-range sensors have detected a large vessel entering the system. It matches no known Alliance design. Jack gave Orb a grim look. That would be the Collector mothership. It's arrived earlier than we expected. The Admiral's skepticism vanished instantly. How many ships do you have following you, Captain? Just the Defender, replied Jack. Earth sent us to explore, not to start a war. One ship? Orb's scales flushed with alarm. You came to face the Collectors with one ship? It's a good ship, said Jack simply. The Alliance Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was large and elegant, with representatives from all 27 species seated in rising tiers. They watched with a mixture of fear and curiosity. As the humans entered, Ambassador Trell of the Luminari led the session. His blue glow pulsed with anxiety as Jack approached the central platform. Captain Jack of Earth, Trell began formally. You stand before the Alliance Council in direct violation of the Earth Containment Protocol. However, given the current situation, we will hear your warning. Jack uploaded the data they had gathered to the main display. Images of the Collector mothership appeared, along with detailed analysis of its capabilities. The Collectors have been operating beyond Alliance space for years, Jack explained. They see other species as specimens to be collected and studied. The recent attack on the Florian Research Station was part of their larger plan to test Alliance response times and defense capabilities. Max added technical details about the Collectors' weapons and shields, while Rose reported on their treatment of captives. The Council listened with growing alarm. Why would you risk yourselves to bring us this warning? Asked Representative Mako. The Alliance has not been welcoming to humans. Jack's answer was simple. Because it was the right thing to do. Before Trell could respond, the chamber's emergency system activated. Admiral Orb's voice came through the speakers. The Collector vessel has entered orbit. They're launching smaller ships toward the station. Ambassador Trell looked at Jack with new understanding. We have no combat vessels here. Our fleet is spread across 3 sectors. The Defender is ready, said Jack. Let us help you. The Council chamber erupted in debate. Allow Deathworlders to fight on their behalf? Trust creatures whose evolutionary path was shaped by violence? As they argued, the first impacts shook the station. The Collectors had begun their attack. The Alliance headquarters shook as another blast hit. The beautiful ring-shaped station had never been designed for battle. Its shields were failing fast. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Trell made a quick decision. Captain Jack, we accept your help. Please do what you can. Jack nodded firmly. We'll buy you time to evacuate civilians. He turned to his crew. Back to the Defender, maximum speed. As the humans ran toward their ship, Admiral Orb followed. What can one vessel possibly do against the Collector mothership? He asked. It's 10 times your size. Size isn't everything, Admiral, replied Jack. Humans know a few things about fighting against bigger enemies. The UES Defender detached from the station and moved to engage the Collector fleet. The human ship was smaller than the Collector mothership, but it moved with incredible speed and precision. Target their fighter craft first, ordered Jack from the captain's chair. We need to stop them from boarding the station. Ben's hands flew across the navigation controls, maneuvering the Defender through enemy fire. Alex managed weapons, targeting the smaller Collector ships with deadly accuracy. From the Alliance station, the Council members watched in amazement. They had never seen combat tactics like this. The human ship didn't run or hide. It attacked directly, drawing enemy fire away. From the station, they're protecting us, whispered Representative Mako in awe. They're making themselves the target. On the Defender, the situation was tense but controlled. The humans worked with practiced efficiency, calling out reports and adjustments without panic. Shields at 70%. reported Max from engineering. I'm rerouting power to strengthen them. 2 enemy fighters down, called Alex, but more are launching from the mothership. Jack studied the tactical display. Their mothership is staying back, letting the fighters do the work. That means something. Important is on board. Something they don't want to risk. Or someone, suggested Rose. The collector leader called the captives specimens. What if they have more? Jack made a quick decision. New plan, we need to get aboard that mothership. How? Asked Ben. Their shields are too strong for our transporters. We make them let us in, said Jack with a grim smile. Max, can you create a feedback loop in our shield generators? Make it look like we're about to have a catastrophic overload. Max understood immediately. You want them to think we're going to explode? That our shields are failing and our reactor is going critical? Exactly. They want specimens, right? They'll try to capture us before we blow up. The plan was risky, but they had no better options. Max created the false readings while Ben positioned the defender for a direct approach to the mothership, as if they were making a desperate attack run. Inside the collector mothership, the commander watched the human ship with growing interest. Their sensors showed the defender's shields failing and energy readings becoming unstable. The human vessel is damaged, reported a collector officer. They appear to be losing containment on their power core. Capture that ship, ordered the commander. Deathworlders are the rarest specimens in our collection. We must have them before their vessel destroys itself. The mothership extended its tractor beam, pulling the defender toward a docking bay. Just as Jack had predicted, the collectors wanted to salvage the humans before the ship exploded. It's working, said Ben. They're bringing us in. Jack turned to his team. Alex, Rose, you're with me. We'll board the mothership and find their control center. Max and Ben, stay with the ship. Be ready for a quick exit. Before leaving, Jack contacted the Alliance station. We're boarding the collector mothership. Continue evacuating civilians and prepare your defense teams. We'll try to disable them from inside. Admiral Orb was stunned. You're deliberately entering the enemy vessel? That's suicide. That's strategy, Admiral, replied Jack. Sometimes, you have to take the fight to the enemy. As the defender was pulled into the mothership's docking bay, Jack's team prepared for boarding. They wore light armor and carried both weapons and technical equipment. Remember, said Jack, our primary goal is to disable their weapons and shields. Secondary goal is to free any captives. We move fast and stay together. The moment the defender was secured in the docking bay, armed collectors surrounded it. They expected to find a damaged ship with a helpless crew. Instead, the airlock burst open and the humans came out fighting. Alex led the charge, moving faster than the collectors expected. Their weapons were designed to capture, not kill, which gave the humans an advantage. The stunning beams that would incapacitate most species only slowed the humans down. They're resistant, shouted a surprised collector guard. Increase power levels, but it was too late. The humans had broken through their line and disappeared into the ship's corridors. Meanwhile, on the Alliance station, Admiral Orb organized the defense teams. He had watched how the human ship fought and tried to apply those tactics to the station's limited defenses. Concentrate fire on one fighter at a time, he ordered. Don't spread out your attacks. Director Root had joined the station's medical team, helping treat the injured. When a section of the station was hit and began losing air pressure, Root saw several Alliance security officers hesitate. The decompression would kill them if they entered. Thinking of the humans who had rescued him, Root stepped forward. Sometimes we must risk ourselves to save others, he said, using emergency breathing equipment to enter the damaged section. Other officers, inspired by his courage, followed. Back on the collector mothership, Jack's team fought their way toward the main control center. They encountered more resistance as they got closer. We must be on the right track, said Alex as they took cover from enemy fire. Rose pointed to a side corridor. Jack, I'm detecting different life signs down there. Lots of them. More captives, Jack realized. Rose, can you free them? Alex and I will continue to the control center. Rose nodded and broke away, heading toward the captives. She found a large chamber filled with containment pods, each holding a different alien species. Working quickly, she began shutting down the stasis fields. Jack and Alex reached the control center after a fierce fight. The Collector commander faced them with anger. "You will be the centerpiece of our collection, humans," it threatened. "Sorry to disappoint you," said Jack, "but we're not here to be collected." With Alex providing cover fire, Jack accessed the main control system. His time studying Alliance technology helped him understand the Collector systems, which use similar principles. "Weapons offline," he announced as he overrode their security. "Shields disabled, and sending all their research data to the Alliance." The commander lunged at him, but Alex intercepted, showing the superior strength that came from evolving on a high-gravity world. Across the mothership, Rose had freed dozens of captives. Some had been prisoners for years. They were weak but determined to escape. "Follow me," she told them. "We have a ship." Jack contacted Max. "Start the engines. We're coming back with guests." "Already ready, Captain," replied Max. "The Collectors didn't even understand half our systems. They never disabled the Defender." As alarms blared throughout the mothership, Jack's team and the freed captives fought their way back to the docking bay. The Collector guards were in disarray, without direction from their command center. On the Alliance station, Admiral Orb was shocked to see the Collector fighters suddenly lose power. The mothership's shields flickered and failed. "Their weapons are offline," he exclaimed. "The humans did it." The Alliance defense team seized the opportunity, capturing the disabled Collector ships. Without the mothership's control, the Collector forces couldn't coordinate their attacks. The Defender blasted free from the mothership's docking bay, carrying Jack's team and all the freed captives. As they pulled away, Jack sent one final message to the Collector commander. "The Alliance isn't alone anymore. Remember that before you try collecting anyone else." The mothership, without weapons or shields, retreated from Alliance space. The attack was over. When the Defender returned to the station, the humans were not met with fear, but with cheers. Alliance citizens lined the docking area, wanting to see the Deathworlders who had saved them. Ambassador Trell welcomed Jack with a formal bow. "Captain, the Alliance owes you and your crew a debt we can never repay." "No debt," said Jack simply. "That's not why we helped." Admiral Orb approached Jack with newfound respect. "I was wrong about humans," he admitted. "I thought your evolution on a dangerous world made you a threat. I didn't realize it also made you protectors." The Alliance Council convened a special session. With the Collector threat exposed and defeated, they had important decisions to make. "I propose we formally end the Earth Containment Protocol," announced Admiral Orb, "and extend an invitation to humanity to join the Alliance as full members." The vote was unanimous. For the first time, humans would be welcomed among the stars not as dangerous outsiders, but as valued allies. As Jack accepted the Alliance emblem from Ambassador Trell, he smiled at his crew. They had changed everything today. Humans were no longer feared but respected. Their strength, once seen as threatening, was now recognized as a shield for those who needed protection. "This is just the beginning," Jack told the assembly. "Humanity has much to offer the Alliance, and we're looking forward to a future among the stars, together."